Greetings, multimillionaires, millionaires, and future millionaires. I'm Lane Bean, the co-founder of Pilot Legacy Private Equity Group, an investment company focused on multifamily investments. I'm also a 28-year retired lieutenant colonel and a 20-year real estate investor. Today I want to share something really exciting with you. I want to share one of my flying experiences that I had in the military, and I want to take the principles that I learned from that engagement and I want to draw the parallel to what I'm doing in my investment business. This is an example of the airplane I flew. It's the F-16 Fighting Falcon, and I got a chance to fly this in the U.S. Air Force for almost 25 years, and I've logged almost 4,500 hours at the controls of that airplane. Fantastic job. In the year 2016, the organization that I was participating with, serving with, was called to support Afghanistan. And so we flew our aircraft that looked a lot like this, configured like you see in the model, over to Afghanistan to support the U.S. forces and support the Afghanistan government. On this particular day, we were flying from point A to point B, and we were diverted on an immediate task. That task was there was some U.S. ground forces that were being pinned down by enemy fire. And so we called the forces on the ground. We got a very, very quick update on what was happening and what they needed us to do. And we discovered that they were taking a very large amount of fire, and they needed us to roll in and suppress the area where the fire was coming so that they could withdraw and escape safely. From the time that we checked in and made initial contact with that ground U.S. forces until the time we actually rolled in to suppress the enemy fire was less than a minute, perhaps about 30 seconds. Now, this is very unusual because in most cases like this, when you deploy weapons or employ weapons, you have the opportunity to verify and consolidate information to ensure that you're hitting the right target with the right weapons in the right direction. But we didn't have that luxury on this mission. And so we got the information and we processed it as fast as we could, and then we immediately rolled in because that's what the situation required. Thank goodness we were able to successfully suppress the enemy. That broke the contact between the enemy and the U.S. forces, and it allowed the U.S. forces to withdraw safely with no harm and no damage. And we're very proud of being able to do that. So what do we learn from that, and what principles can we draw from that, and what am I doing to take those principles and apply them to real estate? Well, here's a couple things. One, that was a very unusual circumstance because it required an immediate action. We would not have been successful despite what I attribute to these principles: education, knowledge, training, and then a good briefing and teamwork. So let me go over those. One is we had talked about that particular strategy about employing the gun in a suppressive situation many, many times. I had trained that particular event countless times over many, many years. And then we used good teamwork to consolidate those three things into a contingency plan, because we know on every mission there's going to be some unplanned activities, an unrecognized threat that we'll have to make an adjustment for or make an accommodation for. So those principles are important in military, of course, and they were critical to the success of our mission on that day. But tell you what, those principles are also critical in business, regardless of what business line you're working in. But let me give you an example of how I'm using those 3 or 4 different items to successfully find, adapt strategy, employ innovative thought, and contingency plan into successful real estate investing. You have to know your business, regardless of what that is. Mine's real estate. So I have to know, just like I know what the aircraft can do, I know what the munitions can do and the weapons can do, I have to know my product. I have to know my clients. What do my clients, my investor clients, or my resident tenant customers want? I have to know that. How do I know that? Trend information, studying, surveys, feedback form from property management, discussions with investors, knowing the product, knowing your service, critical. I have to get training. I have to surround myself with knowledgeable experts. The real estate industry has so many different elements. I can't be an expert in every one. So I hire the experts and take good counsel with them. So I'm training myself to rely on their counsel. I'm ensuring they're trained correctly. Property management, construction, repair and maintenance, trained, knowledgeable, and ready to execute. And then the important thing too that I can draw is the contingency plan, right? Just like on the mission that I described, I didn't walk out the door and my other F-16 crew member walk out the door knowing that we would be employed with a very quick opportunity within seconds. But that was something that we have a backup plan for and that we contingency plan. So in real estate, sometimes the strategies or the business plan that we execute requires a contingency plan. We can't perfectly predict that, but it's important that it's discussed, it's planned for to the very best of our ability. So I took those lessons from flying F-16s and we applied them to business, and we're applying them to business now, and I talked about those. So in light of today's 2020 changes, and think about what's happened from 2019 to 2020. We've had COVID, we've had political unrest, we've had riots in major metropolitan areas. All of those things we didn't plan for. I don't think anybody could have predicted that. Look at what the economic impact has been for restaurants, for the hotel industry, for the travel industry, for education, okay, and telecommute, telemedicine. All of these things have changed. All of these things were unplanned for. All of these things were contingencies, just like that day in Afghanistan. We didn't plan for that, but it had to happen. We had to execute mission success. And so, let me wrap this up by saying this, okay? Is those principles of training, education, preparation, and contingency planning are critical for success from military missions. They're also critical for business. And there are things that I believe Pilot Legacy Private Equity Group is doing better and applying those principles more successfully than a whole lot of other investment companies. We are looking at strategies. We're looking to ensure that the trends we see in the market today, for the reasons I just discussed, that we're executing that well so that we can position ourselves to be successful next year, in the next 2, 3, and 4 years, because yesterday's threat, yesterday's enemy activity is changing. They're constantly adapting, just like in business. Yesterday's business environment has changed, and we're constantly adapting. And at Pilot Legacy, we're looking at innovative strategies, innovative ideas, implementing the right product service, knowing our business. And so that's the story that I want to tell. I like telling that story because we were successful. I like telling my real estate stories because we've been successful and have a track record for that. If you'd like to learn more specifics about how we're executing those, I'll be glad to talk about them in detail or share additional information. Or if you'd like to know where our vision is for the future and what properties, what markets and locations we're hunting right now, by all means, then we need to have another discussion or continue this conversation. You can do that several ways. One, pilot-legacy.com is our website. You can reach us on Facebook at the same information, or you can email me at lane.bean@pilot-legacy.com. Thank you for listening to me today. I'm hoping to hear from you to help you become a better millionaire.